All right, so I read this new Thundercat book called Cheetara. This is a standalone book. Cheetara, she is the cheetah lady from the Thundercats, and my camera is getting out of focus. She is the, I guess she's supposed to be one of the OGs of the Thundercats because it's something that I did not know. After reading the Thundercats book, I realized that Lino is a cub that turned to an adult, and I thought they were all pretty much on the equal playing field, but it turns out it's not. That Lilo is a learner and is a student to Cheetara, Panthro, and Tigra, which is interesting here. So they decided to make a standalone Cheetara, which is actually, I'm going to say that this is not a bad book, but it's more like an origin. It's an origin. It's going all the way back when Cheetara was a teenager and she was a young, I want to say like a, I want to say a princess, but not really a princess. But she was learning from her elders, but they brought over Lino, which was a cub. Well, he was a young boy. He was probably like, as humans, he had been like probably like a 6 or 7 year old, and she was like a teenager, like 16, something like that. And she's like, he looks up to her as like, I would say, an aunt or a big sister type deal. And this is based off the Dorian, the Dora planet, the Dora. So this is way before they got to Earth, which is this is a little bit confusing to a certain extent. That again, these are humanoids that live in Thordora, but they have names like Tiger, Panthro, Snorf, and I don't even think Willie Kid and all them. I don't even think they're even around yet. So maybe maybe they are. Maybe they're like 6, 7, but they're not this first issue through Dynamite with Cheetara. So this is written by who is this written by? Probably a writer. I have no idea who it is. So Lee. But I'll say this: it's not bad, but it's not great, or it's not, I mean, you can't expect anything to be great. But I am intrigued still with what's going on with Thundercats in the comic books, even though I really was not that impressed with the Thundercats series so far. Not necessarily, I didn't hate it, but I just wasn't impressed. It was kind of like one of those things like, oh, okay, all right, yeah. This one brings me back just because there's like an origin. I don't even know if this is even from the animated series back in the 80s. I don't know if there's any relation. I don't know if this is like recently made up and created just to design some type of backstory with Cheetara and Panthro and Tigra and Lino and stuff like that. But it's almost like a origin story for Lino rather than it being about Cheetara. Uh, I say this. I say this just because it kind of focuses on her relationship with Lilo so far. That's basically what it's doing. Like Lilo sees her, he's like a little cub, and uh, they been had a relationship, and I guess she's supposed to mentor him, um, and that's what they did in the first one. The very last issue of that it was her and him, so it's almost like their relationship is a lot stronger than anybody else's. So it kind of explains, like, in the cartoon, or if you talk about the books, when usually in books, like, for instance, there'll be like, let's talk about DC, Wonder Woman. There's series where Wonder Woman has a relationship with Superman or one of the other characters. There's a reason why Cheetara has never been in a relationship with Lilo on a romantic status, just because, I mean, I'm not saying it was supposed to be, but just saying usually they throw that in there. Maybe this is why, because Lilo is supposed to be a kid, and it's almost like they look at him as a little brother, even though he becomes the leader at some point. I'm not saying that's the only reason why. I'm just kind of throwing it out there that she has been more of a mentor. This is stuff I did not know growing up about Thundercats. I did not know Panthro and Tigra and all they were mentors to Lilo. I thought Lilo was him. I always thought Lilo was just that guy. You know, I just never, and I was too young too, because it's like I said, this cartoon came out in the '80s, so it doesn't really. I don't have that kind of strong memory to say, oh, I remember. I mean, there's a lot of things you remember, but that's one of the things I like. It just never appeared that way. It always appeared that Lilo is the leader, and this is a group of people. They're all together. They're a team. They're based off cats. Lilo is a lion, obviously, and that's another thing that makes no sense about the Dora. The planet the Dora makes zero sense. Everybody's based off a cat, and they're humans. Where does this tie into to the world of Earth where cats actually live? Um, but then again, it's animated, it's made up and stuff. But sometimes you just want to you want a story to have some realism to it, just so you can like stop thinking about it. Like you guys over there, and you're supposed to be a cheetah, okay, but you're supposed to be a panther. Why are all of y'all different cats anyway? I mean, this is not Ninja Turtles where there's Rocksteady and Bebop, and then there's the Turtles, and then there's like Snapping Turtle, and then there's Baxter Stalkman, all these different that was mutated. And then they got there to have mutants in here. They refer to some people as mutants. So if they're mutants, what the hell are y'all? So you got to be humans. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll get to that. It'll explain that to me. I don't know why that sticks in my brain when I think about the Thundercats. Like, where does these cats come from? That's just for whatever reason. Like, where is these cats coming from? So, but yeah, it's not a bad one, man. It's it's okay. I mean, I'm not. I'm gonna continue to dig deeper and read these just to see where I want to see where does it is it going to show us when the planet started to destruct, they had to head to Earth, stuff like that. I just want to see, and again, are they going to get to the point where it's like, all right, we Dynamite does all these standalones for Disney, like Disney villains for instance. You got Scar, you got Maleficent, you got Hades, you have I don't know. So I'm curious if they're going to go that route with Thundercats. Are you going to do a standalone for Lido? All right, so I'm just wondering if they're going to do a standalone for Lido, Tigra, Panthro, or does anybody even care? Does anybody care? Snorf. I don't even understand Snorf. Doesn't even speak English. I don't understand it. So I mean, I don't want this to be a rant, but there's answers that I want from Thundercats. Okay, that's all I'm saying.